The Republican Party has had a hard-on to kill off Social Security since before it was even passed. So why did Democratic President Bill Clinton come closer than any Republican ever has to destroying Social Security as we know it? The story begins in 1935 with the passage of the Social Security Act. Repeal and replace. Anyone who's paid attention to politics through the past 15 years or so knows that this is what Republicans wanted to do so badly with Obamacare. But repeal and replace is not a new idea. In fact, Republicans campaigned to do the exact same thing to Social Security before losing the 1936 election campaign, hoping to smother the program in its crib before the law was passed but had not yet gone into effect. Republican presidential candidate Alf Landon said at the time, "To get a workable old age pension plan, we must repeal." Landon and Depression-era Republicans thought the way Social Security replaces wages dynamically, allowing a retired person to maintain their standard of living somewhat, was a big mistake. Instead, they proposed a flat subsistence level amount for all retirees. Republicans lost that fight badly, and Social Security went on to become one of the most popular and enduring government programs in U.S. history. Before Social Security, it was commonplace for old people to die in grinding poverty. Social Security helps prevent that from happening today. But Republicans never lost the desire to kill Social Security. As recently as 2016, Republicans like Paul Ryan were submitting proposals to make essentially the same changes Alf Landon suggested at the birth of Social Security. The GOP's problem with Social Security is ideological. The Republican Party is first and foremost the party of rich people. Rich people do not need a Social Security check. Working people do. The Social Security system doesn't offer anything to the rich besides extra gas money for their Land Rovers. The Social Security system is cheap with super low administrative costs and no benefit to the nation's major financial players. Further, as Noam Chomsky points out, Social Security is based on an extremely dangerous principle that you should care whether the disabled widow across town has food to eat. The capitalists at the top of our political power structure want us to focus on maximizing our own personal spending power, not on preventing old people from starving to death. Any such collectivism is perceived as a threat to the entire capitalist system. Also, if the Social Security system were to magically disappear tomorrow, the business class would be perversely happy. Imagine it. The labor market would suddenly be flooded with millions of elderly job seekers who needed to find low-paying jobs or die. A massive influx of desperate workers would drive down wages for everyone. Suppressed labor costs would increase business profits dramatically. From the Republican Party's viewpoint, ending Social Security is all upside. Plot twist. So how did Democratic President Bill Clinton come closer than any Republican ever has to destroying Social Security as we know it? For some reason, modern Democrats still have a soft spot for old Slick Willie, a president who betrayed their ideals at every turn. Clinton was a founding member of the Democratic Leadership Council, which was explicitly formed to push the Democratic Party to the right, or in co-founder Al Fromm's words, to expand the party's base and appeal to moderates and liberals. Once referred to as the Republican wing of the Democratic Party by Howard Dean, the Democratic Leadership Council sought to curry favor with the political center by moving right on economic questions, essentially trading the progressivism of FDR and LBJ for the corporatism of Ronald Reagan. Calling themselves the New Democrats, DLC types basically conceded to the right wing that liberal was a bad word and something that no Democrat should be. By focusing on new priorities like free trade, balanced budgets, and an economic growth above all, New Democrats helped forge an unbreakable new consensus among the political class. Business was in, everybody else was out. For every move Clinton made to the left, gays in the military for example, he seemed to make 2 or 3 to the right. It was Clinton who got NAFTA passed after George H.W. Bush couldn't, and with more support from Republicans than his own party. His free trade agenda was accompanied by rightward stabs on crime legislation, capital punishment, and welfare reform. Even Ronald Reagan himself was scandalized by Clinton's shamelessness, saying, "After watching the State of the Union address the other night, I'm reminded of the old adage that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Only in this case, it's not flattery, but grand larceny." Tomorrow, I'll tell you about Clinton's plans to drive a stake right through Social Security's heart, and how it was Monica Lewinsky who came to the rescue of America's retirees. In the meantime, please like, follow, favorite, and subscribe to my free Substack. Let's make them pay.